It's juice bag.
Maybe I'll go higher on this one.
It's juice bag.
So it's juice. Let's just do a few like juice bags.
Juice bag.
I think we should do hip hop hype beast.
Okay.
Juice bag.
Noise.
Okay.
Hello. I liked that one.
That never gets old.
It does not.
Welcome to Juice Bag, everybody.
Yeah.
Hosted by your boy Dakota Jones and
Jett Jones.
his wife.
Yes.
Yeah, we are married.
He is my husband.
Yeah.
And we are equals of the podcast.
My name comes first most of the time. But
I didn't produce the whole thing.
yeah, fair enough. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. It's a great day to be in Philadelphia. Ooh, it is
Is it, though?
October 30th. We'll get to that. It's October 30th, the day before Halloween. It's a Monday, but
Yeah.
tomorrow's a holiday, and Jett and I have intentions of throwing candy at kids from afar tomorrow, and so we didn't want to record tomorrow, so we recorded tonight. How you doing, Jetty?
I am doing... God, have I ever been more than a 7 out of 10?
I don't think so.
I feel like
no.
I maybe have. I've maybe gotten up to an 8 or something.
I
but
feel like the
I
listeners can kind of tell already, like, what our ratings are going to be.
We'll see. But hopefully we'll have some level 10s coming up this holiday season.
God, that would be so nice.
I know we will.
I know we will, too. Yeah.
But yeah, today is the day before a holiday. I'm having impending work doom anxiety just intermittently throughout the course of the last 6 days since we last recorded. I feel like I've gone through all the cycles, and today is the day that I am beginning to surrender to my circumstances.
Yeah.
Therefore, I give myself a 7 out of 10 for feeling a little bit better. Feel like I haven't just been in a constant state of anxiety about going to Africa very soon, but I have had my waves, which it's been nice to have some breaks.
I think it's interesting that you would choose to lie to our listeners, because you have absolutely been in a constant state of
Not
stress.
today.
Not today?
That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I was saying today was the first day where it's been waves and the breaks have been nice.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But
That's good to hear.
the past 6 or so days, I mean, I've had my on and off
Well, I
days.
mean, did you do anything different? Were you nurturing your juice bag in any other different way, or were you just getting shit done?
Yeah, so I feel like I want to get deeper into that in the actual podcast because it kind of weaves in.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to kind of hear about how you're doing first.
You said you're at a 7?
Yeah, 7.
I'm at a whiny, stinky, smelly, 5.5 today. Well, maybe even a 6. I
Even
don't know.
after a Twix?
Even after a Twix. Jett and I ate some sad chocolate right before we started the episode because I want... The thing is that I'm kind of mourning my mood on top of the fact that I'm also kind of a weak worm right now. My juice bag's low. I'm sleeping better than last podcast. I was very whiny on the last podcast. I was in a meat stick mood. Now I'm just sucking on tea and eating chocolate. But I feel better physically, and I feel just okay. But I want tomorrow to go so well because it's Halloween, and we're having a work party and all the fun things. I love Halloween, and I love making kids happy and all that stuff, and so it's the perfect holiday for me. But I'm just so stressed that I feel like I'm missing out. I want to be watching scary movies right now, and I just have too much shit to do.
Yeah.
I feel like it's all work stuff, and I know we don't want to turn this podcast into just work things all the time, but I have my architecture tests, and so I've been studying for those during the weekends, and I was trying to have a good weekend, but we can get into our weekend later because we had a crazy weekend. And then at work too, stuff just picking up, and it just keeps piling on. And my boss is like, "Oh, looks like you have a light week." I'm like, "Really?" Every one of my designers is working into the night. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This guy's just Delulu.
La,
It's
la,
we
la.
should go golfing. I'm like, okay, we'll see, I guess. Anyway, I'm taking the podium, but yeah, I'm at a 5.5. I'm at a 6. It's, I don't know. I'm okay. And I think I will be better, but yeah, I had to work late tonight. It's a Monday. But
Is today really Monday?
It really is
God,
Monday.
you could. It could literally be any day. Like, you could gaslight me into telling me it's any day of the week.
I would love to do that, except it wouldn't change the reality.
Yeah,
It's still
I know.
Monday. Do you want to talk about our weekend at all? I feel like that's really
you said
affecting
crazy
my story.
weekend, but I'm like,
Oh, did you forget the pounds of shit that were in our basement? Quite literally.
yeah, I did. It turned out so well, though, that
Did it?
It did in the end. It did in the end. Okay, we've seen worse.
Yeah, we so we were talking last time, like we had to get our boiler replaced, and that was like so expensive. We already bitched about that. That got done, right? That's great. A few days later, Jett's up having a shower after we were actually having a pretty lovely morning. Like I was listening to piano, doing dishes. Jett's like in the shower.
Yeah, this
after
was on Sunday.
This was on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had just gone on a huge long walk the night before on Saturday. We got dressed up in our Men in Black uniforms and like walked around Philadelphia and
We
like
put
took
Vito in
pictures
his
with everybody.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was Frank and we were Agent J and Agent D, and it was so funny. And we like made little flashers and stuff for the neuralizers and caught people and we're like scanning people, and everybody was so into it. It was so fun. But Sunday morning we were like resting up, our feet hurt. And Jett was in the shower, and then all of a sudden I hear that dreaded like waterfall sound coming from the basement, and the cats are like staring down the stairs, and I'm like, oh God. So I rushed down there to find the basement toilet, which is almost never used, just overflowing with raw sewage all over the basement,
Like
where all of our workout
turds and all.
equipment. Yeah. Turds and all. No censored anything, just
Nope.
toilet paper. Poop and pee all over the place, getting all over like the Christmas decorations and the workout equipment and
Yeah.
like a few like luggage bags and stuff. It sucked. It freaking
Like,
ruined my day.
to paint a picture, it wasn't like tons of standing water, but it kind of made a very long puddle from the toilet all the way to our sump pump.
The toilet is in one corner of the basement and the freaking sump pump is in the opposite corner of the basement.
It was
so I
probably
had to go
like
the entire length of the basement to get to the sump pump.
It was probably like, I don't know, 20 gallons of water or something like that, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and probably another 20 gallons of pee-pee and poo-poo, Jett.
Yeah. So anyway, I hear a scream from downstairs, Jett! And I'm like, oh God. So sure enough, I turn off the faucet.
Yeah.
You yell, the basement is flooding again. At that point, I fortunately was completely sudsed from head to toe in soap. So I had to plug my drain so that I wasn't just adding more water to then overflow into the basement, and rinsing my body off by splashing it with standing water from the ground.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
So very clean feeling shower.
Yeah.
And then
Not all heroes wear capes, Jett. I didn't know you did that. That's great.
Yeah, I know. And then I like took a moment because I could tell how stressed you were that was happening.
I was like cry cursing in the basement. I was so upset.
Yeah, which in some ways I understand, in others I couldn't quite understand.
It was a turnover point for myself. I feel like I've been kind of on the verge of needing like a good cry for the past like probably week.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of denying myself that just
Yeah.
by like working out and things. And I've been feeling okay. But when that happened, I was just like, it just put me over a little bit. I was like, man, I really need to get some of this out. And so before you got down there, I was like, frick this and frick that and kick poop down the thing. It's just, I was so upset.
Yeah.
But you did a great job at calming me down.
Well, I felt like you've been really great about helping me stay centered when it comes to like my Africa trip and like not being too stressed. And you've been very supportive in my waves of different emotions in which my anxiety expresses itself. And so I feel
it was it was like a real passing of the torch. I felt like I had been kind of being the strong one for you this past like week, almost 2 weeks for you prepping for your Africa trip. And then when that happened, I was like, oh, well, I'm the weak worm now. And then we switched, and I think it even reflects on our scores of like, I just feel a little stretched.
little beat down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But the end of the story is, so it's almost the 1 year anniversary of getting our basement flooded last year around Thanksgiving. And that one was because our entire mainline plumbing exploded underground and was back flooding into our basement.
Yeah.
And that one, thankfully, insurance covered some of it, but
Yeah.
it was like
It was an ordeal.
I think it was like a $24,000 job, and thankfully insurance covered
Yeah.
most of that, but it was still a pretty penny out of our pocket.
And again, this is not a flex. Like the fact that that number exists is like
terrifying.
insane.
Which is that's why I said I could understand why you had so much anxiety, because the last time that this happened to us,
Well, and right after the boiler happened
Yeah.
too, it was
Yeah.
like I thought we had just entered financial ruin.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was over.
yeah.
So
Because I guess, for full transparency, we don't talk too much about finances, I feel like, but Dakota and I are attempting to be like debt free before we're 30.
hoping to, in anticipation for kids and stuff like that.
With
so.
the exception of like a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And we're people who have student loans and a couple other bills that we're trying to pay down.
Yeah.
And so everything else we're trying to pay in cash and then pay ourselves back in our savings and things. And
Mm-hmm.
with the boiler, we had made ourselves a lot of promises to
we
justify.
borrowed from ourselves.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
To pay cash to fix the boiler, and we had made promises to ourselves to replenish all that savings, and then all of a sudden our basement floods, and we know because now we've officially replaced every single appliance in the house.
Quite literally.
From old to brand new. Everything you could think of, yes, it was replaced.
Yeah. The boiler was the last one, and it just got done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that being said, we thought it was a safe move to do that. And I think with the basement flooding, I think you had felt the pressure of, the fact that you and I had justified a really big home purchase and upgrade that needed to happen. Like it was not a want, it was a need. And because winter's coming up and we need to heat the house. So I get why that was so stressful.
That was a
for
big
you.
aspect of it. Like obviously anyone can mop up shit. It's not a big deal. And it was honestly like we got 9 to 5 playing and stuff. Like it was kind of fun despite the smell. But yeah, I literally thought we had just signed ourselves up for like another like $20,000 bill, and insurance would have been like, I don't know about that one, Chief. Like that was only 10 months ago. I don't know what the hell you guys are flushing down your toilets.
Oh, but I didn't
So-
even say the good news. But because we're under warranty, because we got a brand new plumbing
10-year
line,
warranty. Thank God for that. Yeah.
they came and unclogged our main line for us completely for free. So that was a huge sigh of relief. Like we were looking at our contracts. We're like, oh my God, we just worked with this company. Like, please, please, please let this be free. I didn't see anything that said anything about a warranty.
It was out of the kindness of their heart. They didn't owe us a free cleaning, which is what it ended up being. It wasn't a burst pipe or anything like that. It was a standard toilet paper clog.
Just really, really deep in the
Really
line.
deep, really severe. And then, they cleared it and said, like, this one's free, but like, just keep in mind, like, use less toilet paper.
Yeah.
Occasionally do courtesy flushes. Because what we figured out, it's not that we're like, using a whole roll to wipe our butts or something. It's the fact that the house is really old and is also settled, that they let me know the last time that our sewer line pipe is like really close to level. It's not sloped enough to like have a significant amount of torque. So you have to kind of flush the system every now and then, do a little courtesy flush every now and then. So it just kind of clears
good to
everything
know,
out.
actually. I didn't know that.
Anyway, I feel like we've talked way more about
Too much poo-poo
than
pee-pee
anything
talk.
today. We can move on, but that's kind of what we're dealing with this week, and why I'm a little over the edge. And
It kind of felt like when it rains, it pours, but we had some really good highlights. Like
it
walking,
was a roller coaster of a weekend,
Yes.
honestly. Yeah,
like we took a hike in the Wissahickon Trail.
beautiful.
And that was a beautiful time. I feel like we had some good reflections, but honestly, it was just like super fall and super cute.
So folly, yeah.
And then we came home and kind of hung out and rejuvenated a little bit. And then, like Dakota said, we got in our suit and ties and badges and got Vito dressed up. And then we went out to the city of Philadelphia
Yep.
and strolled around. We must have gone like 2 miles or something. We just kind of weaved around all the areas with the nightlife, just to go to all like the Saturday night Halloween parties.
Yeah. We met a lot of we'll say ladies in black.
Yeah, yeah.
out on their way to the bars, which was quite funny.
Yeah, I was a Men in Black agent in a full covered suit, but
Yeah.
we ran into a lot
You
of
looked
ladies
sharp as hell.
who were like lingerie men in black ladies.
Yep.
And we'd all take like group photos together.
Yeah, they were loving Vito.
Yeah,
And so they
it
were all
was
like
cute.
drunk and high and like, we have to take a photo. So I think we took photos with like 3 groups of girls.
It was always whatever group we ran into other men in black people, it was always there would be like a group of 6 girls and then 2 of the 6 would be men in black agents like matching.
Yeah. And
So-
it was so funny because after because we ran into I think we took pictures with like 3, but we found and saw probably like 5 or 6. And there was a few that we just walked by and they would say, "Oh my God, are you men in black?" And then I'd look at them and I'd neuralize them and I'd say, "No." And then we keep walking because I'm like, I don't have time.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a ton
I'm
of fun.
glad we spent the time. We did a little craft and turned some like chrome colored toilet paper little
Very fitting for the
what
weekend.
would you call those?
They're like toilet paper holders, like the little springy things that
In
go
the middle.
in between your toilet paper arms
Yeah.
that hold your toilet paper holder.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good description.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
we turned those into neuralizers with we used laser pointers.
Yeah. And so they glow now.
Yeah.
They're pretty sweet,
Yeah.
actually. They're pretty cool.
So-
Maybe we'll post a picture of it later, but
Yeah, so Saturday gave us a good balance between Sunday, which was like I was packing for basically 11 days traveling, and I was super stressed about it because it's the added layer that it's for work and it's basically solo. Like I'm just meeting coworkers out there. So I'm flying alone,
yeah.
getting over there alone. Not to mention all the nightmares I've been having about leaving my passport places where I can't get to my job and being fired because of it. But yeah, I feel like the flood mixed with the packing, mixed with all the other chores we saved till Sunday,
Yeah.
just like really hit us pretty hard.
Yeah, but we had a lot of good times too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing I want to mention before we get into our topic for today is that I also met my little brother this
Oh,
weekend
yeah.
on Friday from Big Brothers Big Sisters program.
Mm-hmm.
And he is so cool and I love him so much. I can't say his name or like give any information out about him or whatever. All I
Yeah.
can say is that he's 13. He's like an honors student. He freaking rules. He was so polite. We went bowling with his mom and his sister. By we, I mean just me. But he was so stinking sweet. And he was like, "Can I get your ball, Dakota?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And he was talking smack. He's like, "I'm going to beat you." And I'm like, "We'll see." And then his sister ended up beating both of us.
Really? That's
Yeah.
funny.
And she's like 9.
Really?
Yeah, well, she had the rolling like cart thing.
yeah.
And so she was kicking our butts. It was so funny.
That's hilarious.
And he kept talking smack, but he kept he would grab the ball with his pointer and his middle finger
Mm-hmm.
instead of his middle finger and his, what would you call that, his ring finger.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to teach him that, which his mom was really into. She's like, "Oh, already learning things," like blah blah blah. So I feel like I got some brownie points with her. But honestly, like I could talk about that kid the whole podcast.
Yeah,
He was
that's
so
awesome.
sweet, and he was like, God, never mind. I could talk about him the whole time. It was so sweet. We
Yeah.
took like a picture together and stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm smiling ear to ear just
Yeah.
thinking about him.
I'm very happy for you. I'm excited to hear updates along the way.
Thank you. I
Very
didn't
wholesome.
expect him to like me so much so
Yeah.
instantly.
Aw.
He like right when we were done, he's like, "Can I have your phone number and can I call you when I get home?" I'm like, "Oh, buddy, like I've got stuff to do, but that's so sweet. Like, text me later." And anyway, yeah, so good, very rewarding.
We also went to a friend's Halloween party.
Oh yeah, that was fun
Which
too.
I felt-
Asman in Black, yeah.
Yeah. So we have 3 opportunities. We've already finished 2 opportunities to wear our Men in Black uniforms.
Tomorrow's the last one.
Yeah, for actual Halloween.
Passing out candy.
But yeah, it was a blast. We just kind of hung out and had snacks and
You
met-
made some killer hummus for that party too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. We took our hand at karaoke
Karaoke.
for the first time. I've never seen Dakota get up in front of everybody.
Yep.
He feels how about that?
So I did karaoke. I sang Suit and Tie, and I did it. And I didn't know any of the lyrics, and I was brave about it. And then when it was done, I shook the person who was throwing the party's hand, and I said, "Thank you." And then I got the fuck out of there because I needed to go to sleep and forget everything that I had done.
Yeah.
And it wasn't personal. It's a me thing. But I'm sorry for the way I acted.
I don't know why I thought that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But knowing
I'm surprised I did it. I really didn't think I was going to, but the fact that I did sing And the like midway through, I was like, what are you doing? This is not you. And then by the time it was done, I was like, well, thank God that's over. Eat?
Yeah.
Get myself out of there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's really funny.
I mean, it's embarrassing, and I'll probably cringe about it into eternity. So,
yeah, the only thing, I won't get into it, but I feel like you and your little singing thing and denial of everything performative is kind of hilarious.
Well, way to generalize that whole thing.
Well, I think it'll be fun once you learn, because one of your goals is to learn to play piano.
I know.
So
I will never play it for anyone
if
except
you
me.
don't,
Never.
then I won't support you.
I have this is something I'm working on. I have major life performance anxiety. I cringe for people who are performing, which I know is like so toxic, but
Dakota
I just like,
physically cannot watch American Idol.
I can't. I will leave.
Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
I have always thought he was like either being dramatic or...
I can't even do reality TV.
Yeah.
I literally
he just
can't.
exits the room. It's like his body physically cannot handle the cringe factor of it all.
As minor as it might be, even if the people do good, I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
out of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
The
funny.
live performances can't be me. Not there.
So maybe we'll have to try karaoke someday when we're drinking again. See if we can get a little sillier with it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by we, you mean me alone by myself in a room, right?
Or we just won't, because
Oh, that
maybe you
sounds
just
better.
can't do karaoke.
Yay. Okay, cool.
I'll
Glad
just
we're on
go
the same
out
page.
without you then.
What do you want to talk about this weekend?
Well, two things, I think. One hit me like a, what do they say, ton of bricks this week. I have a podcast recommendation for people listening to this podcast, and it is the podcast called Good Inside.
Is that the parenting one?
It is the
Oh,
parenting
nice.
one.
Yeah.
And recently, it must be the most recent episode that they just put out. I clicked on it just because I was powering through work and just wanted something on in the background. But there were two things that they had mentioned that just kind of like, you know, when someone says something and it just like welds into your brain and it like feels fantastic because it verbalizes something you know to be true.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time.
So the first version that they said is your capacity for motherhood is equivalent for your capacity for parenthood. Wait. Personhood. Sorry, I butchered that. Your capacity for motherhood is equivalent to your capacity for personhood.
Interesting. So if I had to take a guess at what that means, it means like the better you are at being yourself and being a successful human is the better you can do at being a parent. Is that right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't use the word success probably if I was nitpicking that. I just feel like it would be like the more in tune to yourself and your self-confidence and your morality and your essence as a human, the more comfortable and comforted and confident and all of those things will be reflected into the type of parent you are. So it's a women's podcast mainly because it's about specifically like,
I still listen to it, but
it's about motherhood. But I mean, I feel like it's relatively gender neutral when it comes to parenting. You know, it's just maternal versus paternal or whatever. But yeah, I found that so fascinating because like that is so true, and it's so validating as to why we are personally waiting to have kids, because I can just sense in myself that my personhood, I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
And I have some things I'm still workshopping and things that I am attempting to, you know, repair generationally, traumatically, communication, confidence, lifestyle, just to get a little bit more, not perfect, although I'm tempted to be perfect. I know I never could be.
Everybody strives for perfection, but the best we can do is excellence.
Yeah, something like that. So, or anyway, or at least being confident in the why behind everything that I'm doing, I guess, even if I have shortcomings. So that like welded into my mind. But then when they started talking about kind of working on your personhood first, or even simultaneously, because a lot of people, you know, they become parents before
they find themselves.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
but I mean, it's always evolving too. So I'm sure it's a little of everything.
Well, it's just the idea of like the airplane safety thing, where it's like secure your own mask before you secure your kid's mask. Because
Exactly.
figure your shit out before you bring another person into the world.
But also, if you have kids, it's not like too late. It's just one of those things that even if you do have kids, you have to choose yourself every day to make sure your cup is full so that it can overflow into your kids.
Totally. Totally.
So, but as someone who doesn't have kids, that really kind of hit home and was validating to me and kind of gave me a second wind with like, okay, the reason I'm healing these things aren't just selfish. It's because I have future goals of having a family where I don't want those things to be prevalent. So I'm going to keep working towards it.
Yeah. It's like the more stable you can make yourself, the less rocky your kid's life will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect segue into the other thing that just like ding-a-ling-ling-a-ling-a-ling in my head and like welded to it was like this idea of pacing your life.
That's right. Yeah.
Repacing your life. It just like rang in my ears as this just mantra I want to live by, or like that just is the best advice to give to anyone. And so I just have to spread that word to our listeners, whoever they may be.
3 family members.
Yeah. But like this concept of repacing your life, I feel like is so, what would you call it? Approachable and unintimidating. Or maybe it is intimidating, but to me, I feel like, I've gone through phases where I'm like, I want change or I want to disrupt the norms, or I want to reject a particular belief or try a new hobby or change my health habits or blah, blah, blah. Like there are so many facets to life that can evolve. And last episode, we were talking a lot about how, my hot take of the episode was that it's your responsibility to bring stability and set a foundation for your family in which is routine. And I find routine to be so vitally important to the success of a family. And this idea of repacing your life to me gives so much of a invitation for evolution and growth that I find thrilling.
I love that. I honestly wish that we had heard about such a thing like a long time ago. And so if there's anybody in college right now, which is when I would have wanted to hear about something like this, I feel like take that information and use it. Because this reminds me of the song that I listened to a while ago called like Vienna by like Billy Joel or something like that.
Vienna waits for you.
Yeah. It talks about like slow down, crazy child, blah, blah, blah.
You said we weren't doing karaoke.
We weren't doing karaoke, which is why I immediately stopped. But like repacing your life is understanding the situation that you're in and where you are in your journey and not needing to be, right out of college making the $100,000 or, right after you have a kid needing to be like the perfect parent, or right after you move across the country having the perfect house and the perfect life and all this shit. It comes in phases and it comes with hard work, and people aren't born with 6-pack abs. They're born little chubby babies, and then you have to be kind of a skinny fat person. Then you have to be somebody who has abs or something like that. Like there are phases to life, and I feel like humans, especially now in society with social media and stuff, we're all just racing toward an end goal, and we're not appreciating the kind of subtle nuances and time it takes to get to something. And I feel like making that agreement with yourself of like repacing your life for a time to achieve a goal really gives you permission and space to do so successfully without stressing about it, because you know that you're doing it for a purpose and that it has an end.
Yeah, the visual that's just like it like exists in my mind right now when we're talking about it is like, to me, planning out your life and having a routine is like signing up for archery. And like you're going to archery and the plan is to shoot an arrow and you're hoping to be good at it, but you just know you're at least going to show up. But repacing, I always want to say replanning. Repacing is the idea of like before you shoot the arrow, you take a deep breath and you decide where you're going to shoot and like actually bring thought to what you're doing rather than, I feel like my knee-jerk reaction when we've created a routine for our family is to just like repeat every single week. And if we don't do it every single time, we've messed up or we've missed an opportunity or we're falling behind. But in reality, I think life really has a way of showing itself when it's time for change. And sometimes those cycles can only be 2 weeks where you're doing something consistently and then all of a sudden you're feeling this level of discomfort or confusion or disconnect with what you're doing. And so you have the opportunity to kind of like take a deep breath and then repace how you plan out your week, how you take on each day to meet new goals. Or maybe it's not even a goal. Maybe it's just your juice bag. Like that's baseline. You got to treat yourself like a plant, get some sun on your skin.
Well, maybe we should talk about this a little less abstractly. Like, can we come up with an example or something like that?
Yes. To me, the biggest thing I've seen since we have set our routine where repacing has come into play is seasonally. And that was something that felt really hard. And I don't know if you remember kind of late summer this year, you and I kind of had our first, I don't know, like you and I both, it was almost unspoken, but we could both tell something was off.
Yeah.
And we kept kind of like tiptoeing around like, do you still want to be going golfing or whatever? And then one person would be like, well, I mean, I do.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And it's like, I do like the idea of golfing on Tuesdays or whatever and supporting you and getting better at it and blah, blah, blah. But then when the seasons are changing, it's getting chillier outside and less sunlight. And like all of a sudden your day goes from 12 hours of light to, 10 or 8 hours of light.
Yeah.
Where that completely changes where you want to be and why. And so rather than just ignoring that the world is literally changing and turning and seasons change and things happen,
you have to adjust to it.
You repace and reconfigure your routine to prioritize different things seasonally. And it's not just as strict as this is what we set to be for this day of the week, every single week, forever.
Yeah. And so it's about making micro adjustments to your schedule. Something that is tried and true and something that already makes you happy, but understanding that people change, life changes, circumstances change. And so we started out with a schedule that was like Mondays were movie days. Tuesdays were podcast days. Wednesdays were just golf. Thursdays were... We would do like separate things. You would go to Soul Cycle. I would probably stay home and play video games and eat pizza or something like that. Fridays were social nights where we would attempt to hang out with friends. We never end up doing that.
Well, there's a mix.
There's a mix. And then Saturdays were like, kind of just whatever we want to do, never planned it out. And then Sundays have always been consistently kind of catch-up days. But as the days got shorter, we realized that like maybe golf wasn't serving us as much. And maybe we needed a little bit more strength training as opposed to just straight up cardio all the time. And so we modified everything to like, well, maybe Mondays, instead of just going to the movies and eating popcorn and wasting all the stuff, all the good work that we did the previous week, we should do meathead movie Mondays and start doing some strength training before movies. And that was a great addition. And then Tuesdays turned into podcast and posting nights. And Dakota could maybe work on some Amber Book and maybe some cleaning and stuff around the house so that we could kind of keep that going. And Wednesdays became, well, let's go on a really long walk. And then maybe Jett can do a cat box or something so that the house can stay nice and fresh because it was already dark and like, we're not going to go golfing in the dark. So let's just go on a big long walk. And now Thursdays are stay in and work on stuff, and Jett can get ahead on some things, Dakota can get ahead on some things, and it's a different season to like kind of stay tucked in and cozy, and we're adapting our lives to be that way.
Yeah, and I feel like the reason the word pace just hit so well for me was that it doesn't carry the heaviness of like replanning or change. It's just like acknowledging that the pace in which you've chosen to live your life at this point in time is you're falling behind mentally.
Yeah.
Like if you can't keep pace and the pace of your day isn't making sense to your, first of all, your basic human needs, secondarily, your family's needs, and then third, any outstanding goals that you have, it is time to get back to the basics and repace your day. Start out, have a glass of water just for you. You know what I mean? Hydrate. Do something that makes you feel good. Wear an outfit that no matter what it is, at least it's your favorite color or something, so you have that power you're holding that day of like, I love this color. And then from there, you can meet some of your family's needs. And, you know, for me, maybe it's cleaning up Vito's room so it's a little bit nicer, or, you know, tidying around the house, or doing or like an extra chore so that, you know, you and I both have our spirits lifted up and there's less of a weight of like clutter or something else going on.
Yeah.
And then it's time to like take on more.
Yeah.
But that's why repacing is so important, because you need to pare down so you can scale up. And if you feel like you've scaled up beyond your means, it's time to scale back down without judgment, because life evolves, things change. And whenever things change, it's a sign of growth. And as quickly as you can make those cycles of repacing and being, you know, soft with yourself, that it's not a failure, it's just a repacing.
Exactly.
You'll be much more open to the adaptation of whatever your week ends up being.
And everybody should understand by now and kind of see what we're talking about, which it's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of communication and thinking about what you're already doing. And if I could attempt a metaphor, I might say that like setting a goal for yourself without a clear defined road, just kind of like an endpoint that you're going to, that's a race. Like that's a sprint. And that's a good way to, one, not nourish your juice bag and freaking burn yourself out. And I feel like people do that all the time. I feel like I did that all the time. But when you repace your life to when you can set up a goal, understand that it's going to take a while to get there, take incremental steps to get there while also maintaining your basic needs, you have the longevity, you have the endurance to make it to that goal while being successful in other dimensions as well. Because if you're just throwing all of your energy at one goal that's not even clearly defined and you're just kind of racing to, you're going to get burnt out. And you're not going to be enjoying life as much as you are if you're just kind of gradually moving toward a direction that you want to, as long as it's clearly defined and you've made agreements with yourself to take care of yourself throughout the process.
You know, it's silly. I have a kind of a funny anecdote, or like a silly, dumb little thing that I love because it served me. So one of my goals, or one of my curiosities when I started like working on my health and like repacing my life to focus on my health and improvement of me as a person, and just giving myself the permission to like do what I wanted to do with my life, was starting the girlies will know. But I used to, before work every day, curl the shiz out of my eyelashes and then cake on like 3 layers of mascara just to make my eyelashes visible, because they are straight and they are like kind of light blonde, so you can't really see them. And something I always dreamt of was having like naturally long eyelashes, because frankly, I don't like wearing makeup, but I used to wear it a lot because I felt really insecure, or I just wanted, not even insecurity, but I just wanted a quick fix every day to make me feel confident.
Yeah.
And so every single day I would put on a bunch of makeup, bunch of mascara, just to like feel presentable. Well, because repacing and la-di-da, when I was working from home, I felt a little bit of freedom to experiment, and I stopped wearing mascara, and I stopped curling my eyelashes for a long time because I was realizing I was ripping out my eyelashes, which wasn't helping to them not being long and full or whatever.
Would do it.
And so I ordered like a $20 little serum for eyelashes on Amazon at the beginning of the year. And I, with my morning and night routine that I use as like my me time every day, I apply that little eyeliner swoop of clear goo to my eyelashes, and they literally grew.
Yeah. She's
grew.
not lying, guys. I've been looking at them this whole podcast, and they're like dark and black and long and luscious, and they look done up.
Yes. And so what I did was religiously apply that morning and night. And then after a while, I was like, dang, these suckers are long, but you can't really see them that much. And so then I looked up an eyelash tint kit, and I tinted my eyelashes black. And now every day I just get up and curl my eyelashes gently, caringly. And now all of a sudden I feel like I have long, dark, natural lashes that I can roll out of bed and just feel like I have 4 coats of mascara on.
Also, you shouldn't gatekeep. You should give out that serum if it really did work next time.
Frankly, I just Googled, oh my God, I sound like a boomer. I Googled into Amazon, like eyelash growth serum, and it was like $20. It's in a little blue bottle. I don't even know what it is. I've used the same one all year. So $20 for basically, I've probably, 200 days in so far.
Yeah.
Super cheap. And then the eyelash tint kit was like $10. So in however many bottles of mascara I would have bought in that time, I'm saving like $100 a year by not buying mascara.
Totally.
So anyway, I know that's kind of silly, but it was
No. I think that's a good example of
the
repacing.
pacing it was like a long jog. So like I basically had to commit to like not putting on mascara, curling my eyelashes, and just like choosing to care for these little hairs on the tops of my eyelids that, you know, I used to just kind of like beat the heck out of and wonder why scrubbing off waterproof mascara and then reapplying it and crimping my eyelashes every day was
I remember a time where you actually clipped off some of your eyelashes with a curler?
Yeah, that actually was a casualty this year when I...
oh, no.
Yeah. Fair warning, ladies, if you use the tint too often, your eyelashes can get brittle. But with my serum, the little chunk that I had curled off grew back in like 3 weeks or something.
Oh, that's nice.
It wasn't bad.
I'll have to use some.
No.
Why?
You have beautiful eyelashes.
Oh, that's rude. I'm not. They're too beautiful to use your cute little serum on?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. I take it back.
Okay. But anyway, I know that's kind of silly. But
no,
it means a lot to me. As someone, my whole life, I never thought I could be that person.
No, I think it's a good example of like how this practice can scale. I mean, we've talked about how we use it in our day-to-day life. I feel like I made it clear too. I had to repace everything when I was in school. And like even now I'm repacing how I'm studying architecture and even approaching my licensure process, which I had an unclear defined goal of just reading like 8 books that I bought online to like get a license. And I had no idea what the books were going to teach me or whatever. But now I'm on like a program and I know how long it's going to take and I know how many hours a day I need to invest in all that stuff. So it's more of a gradual burn as opposed to just like this flash
like aimless
in a pan that, you know, is not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
So, and with you, it's like, you're not just going to keep maxing out on makeup and, you know, eyelash curlers every day. It's like, no, if you give it time to heal and grow,
let her rest,
soak up and replenish, you're going to have benefits to that. And I think it's true with everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lovely thing. Do we want to wrap up the segment and go to questions? What do you think?
Yes. And again, this concept is something I pulled from the podcast Good Inside. Highly recommend, whether you're a parent or not, or you used to be a parent. Like,
they're also not sponsoring us, so you don't need to give them this big of a shout out.
Well, no, but it's healing something in that podcast I've like stumbled upon, and it's healing something in me, and I want to spread the word to everyone else.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay. Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Sorry to interrupt this week's episode, folks, but we'd like to remind you that if you enjoy what you're listening to please consider subscribing and sharing our podcast. Also, don't forget to leave us a review on all major podcast platforms.
We're about to roll into our Q&A portion of the episode, so if you'd like to be featured next time, hop over to Instagram and submit your question to us at JuiceBagPod. Now let's get back to it.
Welcome back
to the Juice Bag Podcast.
Part two. Welcome back for the questions section.
Yeah.
Remember to send in your questions. We don't get too many questions sent in, but that's because we're a little baby podcast right now. So we just kind of make them up on the spot. But if you want to ask us something, make sure to slide into our DMs.
On Instagram. Or if you know us, just text us.
Or just text us. You probably know my mom or have access to my phone number. So just text me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jett, do you want to ask your question first?
Sure. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Do you think jealousy is healthy in a relationship?
Ooh.
And why or why not?
You know, my knee-jerk reaction is yeah. But I know that might not be the popular thing to say. I know that in today's... I don't spend a lot of time on like single current dating advice or whatever, but like I know that it's normally frowned upon if it's like jealous and like, oh, open relationships are so cool and blah 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 and you shouldn't be jealous and past partners this and all that stuff.
Let's say we're approaching this from the angle of like you've been together 2 years. Maybe you're not married or fiancéed.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm not going to hit it from every angle that I think I should. This is just my opinion, my knee-jerk reaction, is that I feel like a little bit of jealousy, is healthy. I'm not going to say a lot. Like, somebody shouldn't be jealous about everything that a person does if it doesn't involve them or something like that. So if I'm talking about you, I'm a little jealous that I don't get to experience South Africa with you. Mm-hmm. But I'm not so jealous to the point where I'm resentful toward you or your job or really anything. Mm-hmm. There were times in the past where I was a little bit too jealous of things you got to do or people you got to see or people who got to see you, for sure. And I felt like maybe that was toxic, but I feel like a little bit of jealousy in a relationship shows that you do care, as long as you kind of rein it in to where you're not affecting anything negatively. What is your kind of thoughts on that? Do you think that's a hot take? Do you think that's dumb?
No, I don't. I'm actually surprised you were talking about jealousy in the matter of life experience and not just like jealousy in the idea that maybe this... Well, I feel like jealousy normally is this thought that, I don't know, people are hitting on your spouse or... at least side-eyeing them publicly, or
I think it goes to show the type
chatting
of
them up
people we are, which is that if we get hit on, we don't know we're getting hit on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's not anything I've ever really had to deal with because I don't think anyone's ever really approached either of us in a wanting kind of way. And so, no, my knee-jerk reaction was like, yeah, you get to go frickin' to South Africa and I frickin' don't. And it frickin' sucks.
Yeah.
Frick me.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So
yeah. I'm trying to think if I've been jealous of you in any capacity at all. I think the only level of jealousy that I feel towards you is like your male privilege. Like I would love to go out at night in downtown Philly and be like, la la, no one's going to kill me for no reason. No one's going to do something.
Well, was that your question though? Is jealousy a healthy thing?
Yeah, that was my question. But I thought the way I was thinking to approach it was from this idea that, do you think, like, I guess I'm trying to think of what type of jealousy that is. Like what you would call that. It would be just like romantic jealousy.
Yeah. I mean, I can
like,
answer that as well.
Healthy?
I think my answer stays the same. It's like a little bit. Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, if somebody's like chatting up your girl or, you know, eyeing somebody else, like it's okay to be a little jealous. I think that's a very natural human behavior and reaction. I think you are responsible for your emotions and how you emote. So if you're reacting in a negative way for something that your partner has really nothing to do with, if somebody else is eyeing your girl.
What about this? Yeah. What if we were like out at a Phillies game or something and someone was making a meal out of looking me up and down or something? What would that make you feel?
More angry than jealous. I mean, in that
don't you think
example
that's
specifically.
Jealousy, maybe?
Not really. I mean, I would kind of think that guy's just being a pig and kind of a jackass. So I don't know if that would be jealousy. I don't know.
Yeah, like defensiveness.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody was like grabbing your ass and you were liking it, like I'd be like, I guess I would be a little jealous. I don't know.
Cheating on
no,
you,
I know,
though.
but like that's like I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I think that behavior of defensiveness stems from a level of jealousy of like defending your
Here's the situation is that I don't know, because I haven't experienced it in so long, if I could be jealous of somebody like even making an approach at you, or like went up to a bar at you being like, wow, you're a beautiful girl, like can I buy you a drink or something like that. Like if that something like that happened to you and you turned them down, which I know you would, I wouldn't be jealous. I'd be kind of like, oh, cool, man. Like, you should have took his free drink, like saved us $8 or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I can feel jealousy in that capacity, specifically with us. But I feel like, again, we're just like a weird ass anomaly.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like, the only way I could see myself in this like romantic sense, as you framed it, being jealous is if it were like an extreme case that would basically warrant cheating, which like if we were in that point, like, yeah, I'd be jealous, but I'd also be a freaking pissed off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in this case, then the jealousy would be spending time with someone else, even a friend, like jealous.
Which I used to be all about that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, our ex-best friends situation, people that we still love, still care about, I'm not talking shit about them. But I used to get jealous about how often you guys would hang out because I was always at school doing jack shit and you guys were always having fun. And I was like, well, I want to be a part of that. And you're like, well, you can't because you're at school, bitch. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say.
You did. You would say nin and a boo boo and then fart in your hand and slap me in the nose. She actually did that 2 times.
I hate you. I could kill you for things you lie
You called it a smoke bomb, I think it was. Like you'd cup your hand, you'd shart into it, and then you'd throw it in my nose while I was like, oh,
I'm
stop
gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you.
No, I used to be a toxic bitch, though. Anyway.
On the record, I never did that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. You never did that. You never. I won't
Oh my
do this.
God,
I won't do this to you. She never did that.
That was a bit.
It's a little bit too creative and too specific not to be true, but we'll let that one go. That's
I'm gonna
fine.
kill you. Oh, I love that. Anyway.
Do you want to move on to our next question?
Well, I haven't answered.
Oh, well, okay.
I believe in jealousy.
You think it's a good thing?
Yeah, I would be very jealous if I saw a girl even talking to you. I'd be like,
what? I have so many like friends who are girls, though. Are you jealous of that? No shit. Really?
Yeah. I'm always, I guess not to the point where like, I've never like stalked a girl's Instagram
This is perplexing to me because now that I think about it, you actually don't have too many guy friends.
I don't, because I don't really like men at all.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Oh, shit.
Well,
am I a huge hypocrite?
No. I just think we haven't had those circumstances. But that doesn't mean I'm also not rational, where, again, I think...
Ooh. If you had a guy friend that you would hang out with, I think I would be jealous, actually.
See,
I didn't really consider that.
See, exactly. So, wow. Funny how now you can see how that would feel.
My actions have meaning? What the fuck? No.
No, but I think there's a level of trust that's there, too, where you're like...
It's so funny because, like, all of my friends who are girls, like I don't think of them in any other way except like
buddies. I know.
Buddies, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that and I trust you. So that's why I, although I feel a level of jealousy because it's a level of like defensiveness where I'm like, if they even think about overstepping is where I'm going to have a problem. Because again, I trust you, but strange ladies whom you've met out in the wild or whatever, or
Yep.
colleagues or whatever, where I trust
Yeah, because I'm
that.
always talking up chicks in the wild.
Yeah, exactly.
She hides in her neck.
Anyway, I think that gives me some jealousy, but I don't regret it and I don't deny it and I don't.
You know what?
And
You're
I'm
right.
glad it's
yeah.
there, because to me, if I wasn't jealous, that would mean that I was apathetic to your attention, which I am not.
Yeah.
I am always desiring and interested in attention from you and positive reinforcement from you. And if something would be detracting from that, then I would have an issue. But I know those situations don't detract from your attention to me. They're just a break and a hang with a buddy, which is totally fine.
You know, the only reason I kind of emoted and reacted the way I did is because I'm a little ashamed that I didn't even think about it in that, right? Because a little jealousy is healthy. I think we both agree in that. But you always handle it really well now that I think about it, from the times where I have hung out with my friends who are girls. I feel like you handle it great. And I bet that took practice.
It did.
Whereas I've almost never had to deal with that.
Well, yeah, the
so
last
if you
time-
just started getting a guy friend, that would be a new muscle I'd have to start working out.
See, the last time you asked me, hey, can I go hang out with this girl? I haven't seen her in a long time. We were just going to go get a drink. I was like, no, do you have to? Like, is that something we should prioritize? Like, I had some hesitations. And then the moment you pushed back at all, I was like, you should go. You should go. And like, I checked myself because I was like, I don't want to control you.
Dude, can I just validate that? That's so cool of you. Like,
know.
you're so brave. And so, like,
I'm brave.
you are brave.
I'm brave.
No, I don't know if brave's the right word, but like, that's very understanding and tolerant of you. I
Well,
don't
it's about
know, like,
trust.
because I haven't done it yet. Like, you really don't have any guy friends now that I think about it. Jesus Christ.
Guys make me feel scared.
I can't say that I could have done the same at the time, but it's just because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
And so I just,
I can
kudos to
assure you,
That's
you
all.
never
That's
will.
all. Okay. Just guarantee Jett's never meeting another man ever in her life.
Well, I don't do guy buddies.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
me.
no, it's just, I don't know. It's got me thinking now, because it's like, oh, something I haven't done before. Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But I think what it comes down to ultimately is trust. But I think jealousy is a good signal to interest. And if it's completely not there at all, then I think you're either lying to yourself or you're really not that into him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hope people don't think like I'm unaware of the jealousy that you feel as well.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Like, I'm not unaware and oblivious to that.
Yeah.
As well. So.
I know. Yeah. So, and I think, of course, with all things, there are many different variations of how that can be. For us, of course, we're coming at it from the heterosexual approach. I can imagine how complex that would get if you were bi or lesbian or gay and trying to navigate jealousy and friendship and all those different ways that honestly heterosexuality protects me and you from the complexities of, because that would be difficult for sure to figure out.
Indeed it would.
So
That was a good question, actually. I felt like that opened up a lot of dialogue.
what do you got?
Oh, I hope something as good. Let me see what I have in my little bag of tricks. I wrote this right before the show. How do you deal with the feeling you get when your spouse doesn't share the same enthusiasm for things that you're passionate about?
Where did this stem from?
Holidays between me and you.
What do you mean?
You are incredibly passionate about traditions, small little victories, staying up until midnight for New Year's, having those celebratory moments of respite and reflection, things like that. I like to be in bed at 10. I don't necessarily care to open up my Christmas presents on Christmas Day. I don't share that same enthusiasm, as an example, which is what it came from. But I mean, it can go any way you want to answer it. I guess my question is, does that piss you the frick off?
Well, I think sometimes it has. Yeah. Because
I know it has,
when
yeah.
you're not prepared for it, it can be extremely frustrating and feel personal for sure. Like we've had mishaps where, you know, you didn't care, but I also hadn't expressed how important something was to me. And then when it didn't work out, I've been actually upset with you.
Boom. I think that's like the biggest part of the thing is that a lot of the time these situations happen because the other person hasn't quite communicated effectively how important something is to the other person.
Yeah. And like unabashedly either, I think would be the term. Like,
yeah. And it's not that it's anybody's fault. It's just, it probably hasn't come up yet.
yeah, I had to reiterate like a good 6 times to you that I was like, and as I was realizing it, as I had kind of become more confident to claim just like, I don't know. I had a fear for a long time, which is like so irrational and so dumb. And I feel like I still struggle with it, but I wish I didn't, is like, I hated labeling myself. I just kind of wanted to be this labelless orb of like, I don't know, non-disruption to people's life.
Yeah,
like I just was such a people pleaser that I thought if I had an opinion that people wouldn't accept who I was, which is so dumb because I feel like I'm very normal and everything I do is to try to be normal, and I'm so normal. So I shouldn't really be afraid. But one of my things was like, I was learning about myself and kind of giving myself the permission to claim out loud to you that like, if we don't go see an Easter bunny today, I might cry.
You probably would cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a full on like, not mental B, but like a pretty serious argument about one night where Jett stayed up by herself to watch like the ball drop at 12 o'clock at night on New Year's. And I went to sleep because it was just another day to me and I was so exhausted and I couldn't keep my eyes open. And she like, you had a moment.
Yeah, I did have a moment. That night I put on, well, let's see. I can actually remember extremely vividly. It was the first big holiday season after disowning my father, or whatever you want to call it.
I think that's accurate.
Disowning, not disowning, like estranging myself from my father. And so I was very sensitive that holiday season to like who was around me and blah, blah, blah. And I think we had been around family or friends or somebody for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So New Year's was the first one where it was still a holiday, but we weren't with family. It was just me and you. And we didn't have any plans. We didn't have a party or anything like that. And so it's always a struggle, especially now in the days of streaming. And we don't really pay for any streaming services or live online versions of things. And so it was difficult to find like a ball drop or whatever, but I found like a random, I wonder if it was like a TikTok live stream of the ball drop.
It might have been.
Or something. And so I was watching it on my phone alone.
In the dark.
On the couch in the dark. And then I had played Greta Van Fleet, one of the most dramatic ones. I don't remember.
Oh my God.
And I just cried. I cried for like 2 hours. I was so sad. I was alone.
Wow.
And I was crying.
Which I don't remember like there being a fight before that. It was just kind of like
I think I had been like, can you please stay up with me? Like, please. And you're like, well, no, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, because I did not have the same level of value.
You didn't realize,
associated with
like
that.
I was saying please, but I'm sure it just kind of seemed like, because it didn't compute for you, it just seemed like a silly hill to die on that I was like, just stay up till midnight, when honestly when it comes down to it, it is arbitrary. Like I'm aware of that, but then I can't change who I am, which is like, I have all of the way my brain works. I think it's because I'm a Virgo. So they say I'm a type A person. A lot of my memories are based around holidays as this checkpoint. And the reason I remember them so well is because they are a holiday in which something different happens that day to distinguish it as a different day. And if those things aren't done to distinguish it, I have this horrible feeling of mourning, of a missed checkpoint. And
Yeah.
if you only live 75 years, you only get 75 opportunities to make those checkpoints.
Well, there are many holidays in a year.
But per holiday, yeah, where it's like
you only get 75 Christmases or whatever. That makes sense.
And so to me, if the feeling of not really just being present and absorbing and celebrating and differentiating that day from another day, it's, just a kind of
no, I
thing.
Ultimately, I think I've come around to your way of thinking in that. And this was just an example for the question. Like, we could talk about something else if you want. But I think it reminded me that I need to repace my life to be a little bit slower and enjoy the little wins and the times for, like I said, respite and celebration and reflection. Things like New Year's Eve and Christmas and things like that.
I've gotten more used to proclaiming and reminding you, because that's the thing, guys. It's not necessarily fair for you to assume your opinions and beliefs onto your partner. Like, I'm aware that, Dakota, it's not top of mind all the time how important they are. But now that I've gotten used to the reminding, like, hey, this holiday is coming up, I'd like to make sure we prioritize something to kind of, pre-warn him to get his mind in the right space. Ultimately, if it's on my mind, it is my responsibility because it's important to me. And if I neglect it and it passes me by, my life will pass me by in sadness because I chose not to communicate things that are important to me.
Do you think that's like a minorly hot take though? Like, I feel like a lot of folks would have issue with like, well, I need to remind my spouse the way I feel or do something like that. Oh, sorry, my shoe squeaked.
I honestly feel like, I'll go ahead with a hot take. It is a hot take as long as your relationship is balanced, because you have them too.
Of course I do. That's the answer I was going to answer.
So if
I do it too.
Yes, in your relationship, if one person is doing all of the reminding and all of the thinking and all of the presence and all of the communication, clearly that's a signal that someone is apathetic and wasting away their life and not.
Well, if the
about
other
their
spouse, more importantly, has nothing that's important to them to where they want to remind you and be passionate about it, that person's probably in a weird state of their mind. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I feel like, especially on social media, the male versus female dialogue that goes around is perfectly valid.
Dude, TikTok had us thinking all kinds of crazy shit back in like 2 years ago or something like that. Like, we had friends who were like contemplating divorce because of shit they were saying, like, X and X, like, if you do this, then that means your husband's a shitbag, and this means your wife's cheating and stuff. It's crazy. Which
I do want to, have the disclaimer that a lot of people have it way worse. A lot of people are in abusive relationships. A lot of people are being neglected. A lot of people are being disrespected. We are not in the relationship where that happens, but the influence of social media can make the pressure really come on, especially because I identify, especially now in my later years, with feminism and thinking about all the women that came before me who were single mothers and providers for their family that got me where I am today, that I'm so thankful for. And I don't have a father figure anymore, to where a lot of the time that I have to be aware that kind of boils up with man hatred for me, which is very difficult as a heterosexual woman to then balance the themes I see online with how I respond to my perfectly respectful, but also young and learning husband. Like, we are adapting and learning together, and we are evolving out of patterns we've seen before together. Yeah. And so I don't think it's necessarily fair to just think you can unwrap your Ken from his box and your Ken will be perfect. Like, he is going to be learning and growing. And also, if he loves you and loves your...
I think we should even, like, this goes both ways. This is not a he versus she. It's a if they don't come out of their box perfect.
Yeah. Then if you guys love each other, the point of a relationship is to evolve together to the peak of joy and happiness and love and meaning.
Exactly.
For
And
the
it's
both of
tailored
you.
to your relationship.
Yeah.
And so you have to express those things because it's not, nobody's going to know how you feel unless you express how you feel.
So I feel like you've gotten so much better because I have expressed it more. I have given reminders or found ways to make it easier on myself too. Like we have a year calendar and we just put dates on there, and you know the ones you're responsible for or the ones that we plan together.
We both add ones that we're passionate about and the other person probably isn't, but they know that it's important to them and stuff. And
and we
it's
seek
great.
it out. Yeah. And so I think it can be difficult to like wrap it up with that question of, you know, if someone has a different priority than you, how do you deal with it? It's like
the way I phrased it is that they don't attach the same significance to something you're passionate about as the other. And I think the answer, as we've said, is just kind of like be soft and understand and remind if needed that like this is really important to me. And your partner, if they're a good partner, should be receptive to that and understand that either compromise needs to happen or, you know, maybe they could learn to like it too.
which I feel like you have with holidays.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I think that has been a good episode. I feel like a lot of lessons have maybe not been learned, but at least expressed because we're always learning.
Yeah. I am so glad I had the opportunity to like brain dump some of the things that have been swirling through my mind this week. And I like this episode.
I do too. I'm looking forward to repacing the rest of our week in anticipation of you leaving on Thursday.
Yeah. No episode next week, everybody.
No episode next
I'll
week.
be in Africa.
Yep. I will be drinking wine in a tub, crying my eyes out. No, I'm just kidding.
He'll be eating pizza and
Be
being
eating
fine.
pizza. I have a board game night on Saturday with my buddy. So
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. Everything's gonna be good. And honestly, life is sweet. And
Yeah.
for a Tuesday, this ain't so bad.
It's Monday.
Oh shit. Okay. Maybe I should go to bed.
Yep.
Happy Halloween, everybody. We will see
Yeah.
you in 2 weeks. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Juice Bag. Anything else for the people, honey?
Happy Halloween.
Love you guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Juice Bag. Were you surprised by what we said? We were. Oh no, is this on the internet forever? Oh God.
Can't take it off the internet. Hope we don't do this again next week.
Ooh, what if we did this again next week?
Maybe it could be like a thing. Who knows?
See you next time.
Tune in next time to find out.
Or not.